Nestled between India and China, the Himalayan kingdom of Nepal, capital Kathmandu, is home to the world's highest mountain, Mount Everest. This is Kathmandu, a city of some 600,000 people and of course the capital of Nepal. And it's here that the Everest Marathon runners begin their trip to this wonderful country. To the Western eye, coming here is like stepping back into the Middle Ages. So for many, sightseeing, like this guided tour around Durbar Square, is almost as important as the race itself. This is a deeply religious nation. 90% of the population are Hindus. But they live in harmony alongside the Buddhist minority, even to the extent of sharing temples with each other and with their four-legged friends. Most are visiting Kathmandu for the first time, and it's an exhilarating experience.
All my life I've dreamt about coming to Nepal and see the mountains and the people. And I've been teaching history all my life in high school. And this is my first opportunity actually to be right here. I'm overwhelmed. I'm absolutely overwhelmed at the uniqueness of these people, you know.
Nepal is a treat for all one's senses. A rainbow of colours catch the eye of this equally eye-catching Scottish gamekeeper. A cacophony of sounds reach the ear. But there's also serenity amid the noise and haste. Quiet places for religious contemplation and devotion. Places where prayer wheels spin and prayer flags flutter gently in the hot and dusty breeze. All this to see and hear. We've only been here a day.
I can't believe it's 24 hours. You know, I feel as if I've been here about a week, and I feel as if everybody's sort of known each other for ages already.
And as far as the running is concerned, that still seems a long way away, doesn't it?
Yeah, you know, as I say, that just seems like a thing in the distance still, I think. You know, and I know we're here now, it's the next stage on. So I'm looking forward to that as well. Yeah, I'll be glad to get going, really.
The Nepalese are a friendly people. Banners greet us at our hotel, and inside there's a traditional Hindu welcome. Garlands of flowers and tikka spots.
Welcome to Kathmandu and the 4th Everest Marathon. You don't know what you've let yourself in for.
What do you think it is that captures the imagination of such a sort of worldwide field of competitors?
Most people don't look on this as a competitive race. For them it's an experience and it's an adventure. It combines running, which they enjoy, with trekking and the chance to see Everest. Very few people are actually hoping to win this race.
What keeps you going through what must be a particularly traumatic time, trying to get all these people with down jackets and sleeping bags and things like that? What's in it for you?
Well, we've had 3 races. First race we raised 7,500. Second race we raised almost 30,000. In 1991 we raised 43,000 for the Nepalese charities that we support. That makes it all worthwhile.
Down jackets packed away, we leave Kathmandu for the first leg of this 250-mile journey to the start of the Everest Marathon. We travel by bus as far as Jiri, where the road peters out. It's a bumpy, hot and dusty ride through villages where tourists remain something of a novelty. The Swiss built this bridge over the Sunkosi River, and it's a substantial affair compared to the crossings higher up the valley. The The 120-mile road journey takes less than a day, but there's plenty to see along the way and plenty of opportunity to stretch those legs, which in a fortnight now will be running the world's toughest marathon. While the group leader signs us through a police checkpoint, there's time for more sightseeing. And what sights? Our drivers negotiate nonchalantly around the hairpin bends which would drive Western motorists around the twist. One false move here and you've had it. Buses have toppled over the edge before and there are rarely survivors. But we're lucky, our drivers have done it all 100 times before and we arrive in Jiri in one piece. It looks like chaos. There are more than 100 pieces of luggage to unload and sort. The small bags packed with personal belongings we carry ourselves. The heavier loads are split among the porters, who'll lug them over the next 100 or so miles. It's here in Jiri that road gives way to footpath, and so begins the long march in to the foot of Mount Everest. Even in the cool evening light, the sun-baked track is hard going after 10 hours cooped up on a bus.
Namaste.
But there's plenty of walking ahead to get those legs going on the trek from Jiri through half a dozen native villages to the Sherpa capital, Namche Bazar. It's from here that the scenery really begins to get spectacular. Crop terraces carved from impossibly steep slopes, and villages of touching simplicity unsullied by the sound of the internal combustion engine. Villages where the view from the window is, in the words of the estate agent, truly unrivaled. The mist that shrouds these valleys by late afternoon lends them an even more breathtaking air. And how about this for breathtaking? A nightmare if you're scared of heights, as we'll see later. Each new day begins with tent tea, a strangely Nepalese custom. Then all those bags have to be repacked, resorted and redistributed amongst the hardy porters who set off before breakfast so that the next camp is ready for us at the end of the day. Meals along the way are necessarily a simple affair, and finding this old shed for a makeshift kitchen is a rare bonus. But walking works up a healthy appetite, and there are few leftovers. Somehow even the scenery conspires to make things tastier. With 3 meals to prepare every day, the cooks work as hard as the porters, a point underlined by our group leader at the first of his daily briefings. In fact, the cooks are still hard at work, even as their colleagues are being introduced to us.
His name is Thierry.
The valleys in this part of Nepal run from north to south, but our path runs from west to east, which means inevitably there are many bridges to cross, a problem if you get vertigo.
I can't look down, it's horrendous, and then the swinging and so on, and the whole everything starts jumping and rumbling. One of my fears of this trip, having done it 3 times before, are these bridges, and I was talking all the way to this bridge this morning, so I just suddenly saw it. I started, so it was quite good because I didn't anticipate it too long.
Even some of the normally sure-footed locals find the bridges on the rickety side hardly surprising when they're carrying such heavy loads. You can't fail to be impressed by Nepal and by the Nepalis.
It's brilliant, absolutely. Look at it. How could you feel anything but happy to be back amongst all these lovely people? It's 2 years since I was here last, and it's 2 years too long as far as I'm concerned. It actually makes one feel very guilty to see your kit being carried up by some of these porters, because they carry tremendous loads. The point is that for those who don't understand the way things work in this part of the world, people back at home may feel that we are actually putting upon the Nepalese, expecting them to carry our loads for us, but it is their way of earning a living.
And the income from tourism is well spent. This school, for example, would be unlikely to exist without it.
Can you count?
Yes.
You count?
1, 2, 3,
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Now then, can they sing? Can they sing? Will they sing us a song before we go?
Yeah.
17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25.
It's uplifting experiences like these which keep you going when the going gets tough. Life here may be hard, but it should be fun, seems to be the lesson in the smiles. And it's a lesson you do well to remember as you slog your way up yet another steep slope to the lunch spot. Such breaks are more than just an opportunity to replace the calories burned off on the trail. You need to rest, to wash your socks and yourself, to attend to those blistered feet, which in less than a fortnight now will have to carry you 26 miles at a trot. All too soon the stop's over, and yes, you've guessed, it's time to be upwardly mobile once more.
All right, Doc.
The mist often comes down during the afternoon, and conditions are positively chilly as we wind our way inexorably up towards Lamjura Pass at 11,600 feet, midpoint on the trek from Jiri to Namche Bazar. But the weather here can change in moments, and as we head down the other side, the sun peeps through to warm us on the outside, a sweet black tea warms our insides, and as we arrive in a village for the evening, a display of folk dancing warms our hearts. Everest view, that's what the sign says, and that's what we're here for.
There it is! Wow.
But we're wrong. The peak we can see is not Everest. It's hidden beneath a huge bank of cloud to the left, though the view is still breathtaking.
It's fantastic. I came with the great expectations, but this is already up to now. It's fantastic, fantastic.
What in particular is fantastic?
Country, look at these mountains here, look at these valleys, rivers, ways. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Is it tiring at all, or are you managing to cope quite well?
Oh, no problem so far. I was a little bit worried because you never know what is going to happen, but so far so good, very good. I just hope it will remain like this.
And remain like this it does. As well as being a country of outstanding outdoor beauty, Nepal is a place with indoor charm and colour to match. Buddhist monasteries along the way welcome visitors, providing you remove your footwear. This intricate design, or mandala, is being prepared as an offering to Buddha and will be cast into a nearby river when the painstaking work is finished. Such calm is a welcome break from the rigours of the trail, but we must press on. There's an old saying that what goes up must come down, and certainly nowhere is it truer than here. The downhill sections every bit as punishing on the knees as the uphill sections are on the lungs. The numerous bridges on the way, often the only flat sections, offering the body respite. The next leg of our journey takes us up to Karikola. As with all the villages on the route, it's a colourful and welcoming place. A place with shops and restaurants, and a place where the chips are positively irresistible. We arrived during Diwali, the Hindu festival of light, an unexpected bonus in a country where there's a surprise around almost every corner. But the next surprise on the leg from the warm welcome of Karikola, on the leg to Lukla, is less pleasant. A cold, wet mist descends and forces us under canvas.
I've never ever experienced weather like this before. In '87 we were rained in for a day in Seti and it snowed at the top, but I've never ever seen anything like this.
Can I present any problems on the walk?
Things will take a little bit longer, but apart from that, no.
So just run us through today. Where are we off to?
Right, we're going to Monjo for lunch, which is about 3 hours walk. Fairly easy, flat, undulating terrain, up and down little tributaries. And then we're going to enter the national park just after lunch, Sagarmatha National Park, and then we're going to go for about another hour along the riverbed, the Dudkosi, and then we've got about a 1,000-metre climb up to Namche Bazar. So long, but not quite as hard as we've experienced in the past. Quite a nice day, in fact. Well, it would be if we didn't have this mist.
Just get it off the ground.
What's funny is that's out, that's Lloyd's, that's mine, that's hers.
There's a well-defined system of rank amongst the local people who earn a living from tourists. The load carriers or porters are almost literally at the bottom of the pile. They're paid 120 rupees a day. That's under £2 for carrying 72 pounds. Then there are the kitchen porters who work under the cooks, two important positions as armies march on their stomachs. The guides, or Sherpas as they're called, carry only light loads, perhaps relieving trekkers of their day packs, and they invariably speak good English. And at the top of the pile are the Sirdars, the organisers who hire and fire local labour and are responsible for the smooth running of the whole trek. And like an army, the ranks eat separately and more simply than the people they serve. This demarcation is a difficult concept for us to grasp. As difficult perhaps as the game of cricket is for the Nepalese to understand. They seem bemused by the intricacies of a quintessentially English game. Some habits, however, are universal.
Where's Swami?
What is it, Wish?
Tobacco.
Oh. Is that all?
Beautiful smell, yeah.
Downhill sections, big bridges, and then more uphill stretches. In short, this is the daily routine, if you're lucky.
I've felt 100% so far, but today has been really grim. Sort of woke up at 3 a.m. this morning, feeling awful, just managed to get out of the tent before things started happening to me. I thought I was all right around breakfast time, but as soon as I started walking on today's trek, I was feverish,
very dizzy, started being sick and suffering from diarrhea again. So it's not been very pleasant.
Less pleasant still for a sick climber. When the helicopter's grounded, this is how you're brought down. It's a reminder of the dangers, and one which plays on the mind during the last leg of the journey to the Sherpa capital, Namche Bazar. After the privations of the trail, it's a cosmopolitan place, packed with shops, and for those who've been here before, full of old friends.
How are you?
I'm very well, how are you?
Nice to meet you again.
Nice to see you again after all this time.
So do you walk from Jiri?
We have walked from Jiri.
The following morning the mist has cleared, and the walk from Jiri is suddenly worthwhile. Namche Bazar is a trading post. That's how it got its name. There's a cluster of shops around the main street. But the most popular shop of all is the tea shop. And the most popular spot, the tea shop balcony. And it's here that the winner of the last Everest Marathon holds court.
I love the scenery because it's higher, it's bigger from as we compare with Switzerland. But people is very nice too, and very friendly and open, and yeah, I love these people.
Now, as far as your confidence level is concerned, obviously, as I said at the beginning, everybody's gunning for you this year. You're the man to beat. Does that make it difficult?
No, you know, confidence. It's difficult to speak about that. I'm sure I'm not so good runner as 2 years ago, but I can go faster, I believe, because I'm quite healthy. I believe that everybody has two legs, yeah? 2 legs, one heart, one head. That's all.
Where'd you get those smart pants from? They look like...
While some choose to rest on the balcony, others are training for the big race, now only a week away. This team from the Gurkhas, a regiment drawn from the Sherpa population, is tipped to do well. As well as carrying some of our kit, yaks are used to bring produce to the weekly market. Clothing discarded by previous visitors is sold here, along with produce that predates the boom in adventure tourism.
Take this. Thank you. Thank you. It's garlic. Would you like a taste of garlic?
No, thank you.
Please have a taste of garlic.
It's easy getting people together for a group photo the next day. It's from here we get our first proper view of that mountain.
So there it is, Mount Everest, and suddenly all that hard work, plodding along the trail for a fortnight, seems to have paid off. What a handsome reward. But still plenty of hard work to come. We've got to work our way along the trail here to Tengboche Monastery, and then further up towards Gorak Shep, the start of the race, close to Everest Base Camp. That's still a week away.
And for the next week, it's pretty much back to the familiar routine. After a few days' rest in Namche, we're back on the trail again. A trail dotted with stalls to milk us of every last rupee. A trail where traffic jams of sorts aren't unheard of. Although we're now heading roughly north along the valleys, there are still more bridges to cross. This one under the majestic gaze of Amadablam, with its needle-like peak piercing the sky more than 20,000 feet above sea level. It's child's play ascending such heights, if you're a child, that is. Otherwise, it's a long, hard slog, and even the yaks appear to slow down approaching Tengboche, home of the most sacred monastery in Nepal. At just under 13,000 feet, striking camp after breakfast is a chilly affair, and a training run is often the only way to warm muscles cramped by the early morning frost.
Go for it, Ray, go for it.
But as the sun and the trekkers climb higher, so life returns to a world frozen solid only hours before.
It's from here on up that the air really does begin to get thin, believe me. And it's above here that the marathon runners will have problems, if they're going to have problems at all.
The worst case scenario is mountain sickness with either pulmonary edema or cerebral edema, when you build up fluid in your body and you can't breathe either because of pulmonary edema or you become unconscious because of cerebral edema. These are life-threatening conditions which can come on very quickly and can in fact kill people in 20 or 30 minutes if it's not diagnosed early and if people aren't watched.
So a marathon at this height is no cakewalk, really?
It's no cakewalk at all. Anybody going to 17,500 feet stands a chance of getting mountain sickness, acute mountain sickness. And so the 10 doctors that are with the trek have to watch people closely and make sure that that doesn't happen. If it does, if we see it beginning to develop, then we must stop them, perhaps even get them down, make them descend, and then get back to normal again.
And descend is what this woman must do. Even going down a few hundred feet for the night can lead to a dramatic improvement, and hopefully she'll be fit enough to run.
Hello.
No sugar, please.
That's it. Extremely cold this morning, thank you very much. Extremely cold. Fingers, I can't feel them. But we shall survive, no doubt. We shall survive.
When it's this cold, tea is a must. Even if you can't stand the stuff, it's warm and wet. The air at altitude is so dry, dehydration is an ever-present threat. While lunch is on the boil at Tengboche, there's more time for training. This couple are from Wales, where there are hills aplenty, but certainly not on this grand scale. Lloyd Scott on the left is a former fireman who had to leave the service when he discovered he had leukemia. He's running with his donor.
Well, since I had my bone marrow transplant, I've run the London Marathon and I've run the Snowdonia Marathon. And really, just Everest seemed to be the next step up from that.
It's going to be a tough race, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it is. I think that's part of it. I mean, the fact that I want to show other leukemia sufferers that the disease can be beat. You had to go to sort of extremes like this to really get that message across.
Together, they're running for the Anthony Nolan Bone Marrow Trust. To help us acclimatise, we spend 2 days at Tengboche. It's a welcome rest for our porters and guides, as well as a chance to catch up with diaries and other less pressing activities.
So here we are, almost at the end of the road. Kalapatar, over my right shoulder at 18,000 feet, is something of a dwarf by Himalayan standards, but that's as far as the trekkers go. Beneath its black slopes is Gorak Shep, and that's where the walking boots are swapped for the running shoes for the start of the Reebok Everest Marathon. Gorak Shep, incidentally, base camp for the early attempts on Mount Everest.
And it's to the top of Kalapatar for these fantastic views of Everest that the runners head 2 days before the big race.
It's fantastic. You can't describe it. Unbelievable.
A lot of people have been concerned that coming up here as a runner will compromise slightly their time in the race itself. Is that a concern you share?
No. Who cares? I think coming here to do the run was mainly the excuse to come here in the first place. And once I got here, the run was really secondary. It's something that'll happen one day out of my 5 weeks here, so I wouldn't want to do anything other than, have a good time and see Nepal.
You made it to the start line, Donald. How does it feel?
Very tired, but I'm here. I'd like to do the race now.
How do you think you're going to do?
No, I just want to do it if I can do it. I'm not really worried about times.
If it's cold in the morning, I'll get down as quickly as possible. That's my only strategy. Once I get warm, that's it. I haven't really got any big plans for the race.
What time would you expect of yourself?
I'd like to do under 7 hours.
But for some, even twice this time will be an impossible target. 36 hours before the start, a competitor suffering from suspected altitude sickness has to be stretchered down, though perhaps not altogether out. She may be able to join the race at a later stage. The day before the race, the competitors get to practice the start.
4, 5, 6.
Good example, huh?
And they walk the first few hundred yards of the course. As the sun sets on race eve, the Last Supper is perhaps not surprisingly a subdued affair.
You want more up there?
Oh boy.
Aware of this, the cooks have baked us a surprise and leave us alone with our thoughts.
Wow. It's really things.
All the best. Mr. Alan White, would you like to start?
Number 1,
2,
3,
4, 5,
6,
7,
8,
10, 11,
12,
13, 14, 15, 16.
As the runners number off as per rehearsal at Gorak Shep, 26 miles away, the finish is eerily quiet.
Ready! Go on, boys. Come on, brigade. Steady! Go!
Yeah! Okay.
Namche today. Namche today. First.
By the first checkpoint at Le Boucher, the quickest runners have already opened up a lead.
No problems coming through. Pierre-Andre in the front.
Was he?
Yeah, Pierre-Andre, he was about a minute or so in the front.
Was he?
And then it was one of the Gurkha lads after that. But otherwise everyone's been going through, no problems at all. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Getting plenty of fluid on board is essential if you're to complete the next section of this race from Le Boucher to Ferrochet.
What do you want to drink, Peg?
Tea.
Okay.
Black tea.
Good time, Peg. Excellent time.
Another one, go on.
Well done.
Even at the 7-mile mark, race favourite Gobet has opened up a commanding lead, and in an effort to close the gap, second and third forego the chance to rehydrate. Will they pay for this later?
What's your number? 74.
It's a risk New Zealander Ray Brown doesn't take.
Well done, Ray. Excellent. You're doing brilliantly. You're the fourth runner.
You're only three minutes behind. Here's some water if you want. Go on. You got plenty of time.
You're doing brilliantly, Ray. Excellent. Well done. You're doing really, really, really well.
What's your number, Lloyd?
47.
How are you finding it so far, Lloyd?
Okay.
Yeah?
It's just the next. How far are we here?
You're at 7.5 miles.
Is that all?
It's 23 miles. I'll be feeling.
You going back to
okay.
Annabelle? What's your number? 57. 57?
Good luck, guys.
Out of the way, Porter.
At the 14-mile mark down at Tangbochet, the race marshals enjoy a spot of breakfast while they can. It won't be long before the front runners arrive. Indeed, Gobet is, if anything, slightly ahead of schedule at just under 2 hours.
Good luck.
Nepali athlete Hari Rokaya has moved up from third to second place, and Brown is still fourth, but only just behind Gurkha Birbadur Balal, who may be ruining those missed drink stops. There's no doubting that the Gurkhas have put in the most training for this event, but fitness and stamina alone are sometimes not enough. Mental hardness is an asset the very best hill runners have in abundance. The ability to drive oneself onwards when most would rather drop. It's an ability shared by the leading lady, Kath Proctor. And it's an ability anyone mad enough to run the Everest Marathon must have. That and a sense of humour.
Halfway.
But let's not forget there are two groups running this race. Those who do it because it's there, and those who bring our kit down so it too is there when the race is run. And the competition amongst the porters is every bit as tough as it is between the runners. Gobet, Roka, Brown, 1, 2, 3, as the front runners reach the notorious 6-mile Tamo loop above Namche. But where there's elation at the front, there's pain at the back. Lloyd Scott is virtually dead on his feet. And others are finding the going difficult too.
That way, the usual way. Inwards. That's what I'd like you to do.
There is, of course, the scenery to take your mind off the pain. That and the knowledge that the finish line isn't very far away now. As he descends into Namche, Gobet is clearly in the lead, and by quite some way. Barring a fall as tired legs negotiate what passes for a pavement in these parts, the race is his. He crosses the line in 4 hours, 3 minutes, 29 seconds, into the arms of his father.
I'm obviously happy because this year at the start, I think there were runners who were of a higher standard than those of 2 years ago. It seems that they haven't acclimatised very well to the altitude or the conditions of the race. But I think that in principle at the start, it was harder to try to win than 2 years ago.
17 minutes behind and in second place, much to the delight of the local crowd, is the Nepali Olympic runner Hari Rokaya. And Ray Browd finishes in 4 hours 28 minutes for third place.
Well, congratulations, Ray. What sort of race was it for you?
Very frustrating for a lot of it because not having seen the track and running into the sun, you couldn't see. I must have tripped 6 times, went over on my ankle, but other than that, it was good. It was a lot easier than I thought it might be, and yeah, I think knowing the track, I could have produced a little bit better time. I'm pretty happy with that.
And so he should be. Simply finishing this, the highest and toughest of marathons, is an achievement in itself. But while some have run their race, back on the Tamo loop, there's still everything to play for. In marathon running, you're competing as much against yourself as you are against the man or woman ahead. And above all, marathon running should be fun, for entrants and spectators alike. Fun, however, is not how Lloyd Scott would describe his race at this stage.
Yeah. Your brother would be getting his head sunburn waiting for you. Well done, Lloyd.
Bob Worth is the first Briton home. His time, a respectable 5 hours, 2 minutes, noted down on the timesheets along with all the others. There's nothing marathon runners like more than discussing their PBs or personal bests. And personal best is what the first woman home manages, finishing in 5.5 hours, well under her predicted 7.
Very, very hard. It's supposed to be downhill and it's a good job because all the uphill bits I was just about crawling. Very, very hard. The altitude's difficult. Couldn't even remember to look at the views, which was a pity, but and that 6-mile loop was just absolutely desperate.
As the light begins to fade, so the slower runners begin to finish, including the 2 women who'd earlier been helped down the mountain. For Lloyd Scott and the man who saved his life, Andrew Burgess, finishing joint 59th is a victory in itself.
Really, I mean, it's as if just one leukemia sufferer can take heart from that, some hope and some confidence to fight, you know, their own personal battle, then, you know, all that effort would have been worthwhile. And really, that's what was keeping me going.
And it's a similar sort of determination which keeps our running cameraman Alan Hughes going to the bitter end. Such spirit captures the essence of the Everest Marathon, according to organiser Diana Penny-Shapani.
It's fun, it's hard, but even those people who end the race in tears, in a few days' time they'll say it was a fantastic experience.
And so it's over for another 2 years, and we leave Everest behind. Sad to be going home, glad we haven't got to walk back the way we came. The plane ride from Lukla to Kathmandu is the last adventure on this extraordinary journey. And for some, it's even more frightening a prospect than the race itself. In a country where level ground is at a premium, the runway is more like a ski slope. Until the next time, goodbye and namaste.